Hi, I'm Andrew Cox from Crighton Properties. Welcome back to HomeEasy. Today we're going to be talking to Adam Gilbert from Adam Gilbert Real Estate on the Central Coast about listing options when you decide to sell your home. Hi Adam, welcome to HomeEasy.
Thanks Andrew, it's a pleasure to be here today.
Adam, I deal with many people who've been living in the same home for a number of years and are deciding at a point they say, right, it's time to sell and move to a new property. Yep. Would you mind today giving us firstly a bit of an explanation about Adam Gilbert Real Estate and what you do, and secondly about the various different listing options that people might have available to them?
Sure, that'd be a pleasure. When I first started the business, I had a vision that if you focus very definitely and clearly on the needs of your clients and take on a smaller number of clients, the chances are you can create a better outcome for them with the sale price and much more quickly.
Okay.
Obviously, when it comes time to sell a home, you have to consider a number of different options, not only the agent you choose and pricing strategies and all kinds of other options, but one of the things that is very important to different clients is what method of sale is going to be used in order to get the best result for the property. And if you haven't sold a home for a little while, that can be even more daunting.
Right, okay.
Andrew, there are basically three ways that are typically used when considering the best method to sell a home. One of which is for auction, for sale, and by tender. Right. Which is more typically used perhaps in commercial and business style properties rather than in residential, although that's becoming a little bit of a trend at the moment as well. But primarily the two big ones are, do we go for sale or do we go by auction? Right. And those two methods need a bit of examination before you choose the right one for your own personal needs and the comfort level you have, as well as what is actually best for the property in generating the maximum amount of interest as well as the highest sale price outcome. Right.
Thanks, Adam. So you might just briefly explain, say, the auction process first and then the sort of private treaty process. How does an auction campaign go together and what are people likely to expect?
Okay, well, with an auction process, it's known as no price marketing. So that's the first thing. So what we're looking to do there is we're looking to open it up to the broadest range of buyers possible in a given sort of baseline price range, and it might have a price guide of offers above or interest above. Yes, that would be the typical way we would look at that. And the general outcomes with auctions tend to lead us to think that there's a higher probability of getting a sale result more quickly. Right. And you also open the property up, importantly, to competition within the marketplace. The fundamental difference between, say, going for auction versus for sale is that you're looking at leveraging with auction the price in an upward direction, whereas with a for sale scenario, you set a price and you negotiate as closely to that as you possibly can.
It sort of sets a ceiling, so you're working up to it. Right, okay.
That's exactly right.
So Adam, with an auction, how do people have a definite time frame, or how does it generally work in relation to listing to sale? Is it a set time frame, and then what happens if the property, say, doesn't sell at auction? What happens after that time?
Okay, so what we would find, Andrew, with a scenario like that is that you would have a launch date and you'd have an auction date, and that would create a framework in which to advertise the property extensively through one medium or another. It might be the newspaper, local and Sydney-based, or it could be internet only. But primarily with an auction program, you'd anticipate a mixture of the two and some database work and some other options to enhance the amount of interest that you get in the property. So you'd see approximately a 30-day timeline with 4 weeks of advertising, and the 5th week would be the auction itself.
Right, okay.
In the case where the property doesn't sell on auction day, and that does happen, then you would look at implementing a strategy beyond that, and you might pre-frame that as part of the discussions so that there is a plan B. So it's a very strategic way to actually get the property on the market, generate the interest, negotiate the outcome, and get the vendor on the move. So
in relation to private treaty or for sale that you mentioned there, you set a price and move forward from there. Can you give us an idea of what's involved with a private treaty, and maybe just a little bit of background about the pre-work that happens before you actually list your home for sale? You know, do you need a contract and those sort of things?
Sure. Okay. Well, just to cover the selling process part of it firstly. On average, it takes around about 120 days across the industry to see a property sell by private treaty. Right. That's typically the numbers that we're seeing. So the main reason for that, if we look for reasons, is that the price could be wrong. And that's the great unknown. If you're selling a home by private treaty and the next door neighbour who has a home that's very similar to your own has just sold in the same market and has achieved a price of X, and your home has a little bit more here and a little bit less there perhaps, but is roughly the same, you could reasonably anticipate a $10,000 to $20,000 outcome, plus or minus. Okay, so it shouldn't make the pricing strategy too difficult in that case. It's only in a case where the price is perhaps set a little bit too high that over time the market itself teaches all of us where the market values are.
So say if someone had been told, by an agent 2 or 3 years ago, before a bit of a correction in the market there, that their house may have been worth, $700,000 or so. In actual fact, the home may only be worth, say, $550,000 or something in today's market.
It could be.
But people hold on to that, potentially onto that price, which was, from a few years ago. But the market is really the leveler, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And the two dynamics that we know of absolutely is that buyers will always want to pay as little as possible, and vendors correspondingly want as much as they can get. And so there's always a happy medium to strike there somewhere.
So it's your job to maximise what the vendor gets, of course. Right, okay.
So Andrew, in answer to the second part of your question about what needs to happen before the property goes to market, a number of things need to take place. With regards to the property itself, it needs to be neutralised.
And what do you mean by that?
What I mean is that the property needs to be presented in a way that appeals to the broadest range of people possible.
Right.
If you've lived in your home for 5, 10, 15, 20 years perhaps, there may be a lot of yourself in the photos and the collectibles in your home.
Fair bit of clutter maybe.
Fair bit of clutter would be fair to say. And so it's good to realise that when your home goes on the market, it's no longer a home. It actually becomes a product in a marketplace. And so it's really, really critical that you appeal to the greatest number of people you can, because competition will ultimately defend the price that you've set, or ultimately will create the competition needed to push the price up in a for-auction situation.
Great. Today we've been talking to Adam Gilbert from Adam Gilbert Real Estate. To have a chat to Adam about marketing your home and achieving the best selling price, click on the link on the HomeEasy site and you'll find Adam there. Bye for now.